The Dark Knight trilogy is Christopher Nolan's version of Batman based off the DC Comics, and this trilogy of movies came out after the last Batman film that starred George Clooney, Batman, and Robin. So obviously they did a whole lot better. The first installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, starred Christian Bale as Batman, Michael Caine as Alfred, Ken Watanabe as Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson as Ducard, but who's actually Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, History of contains spoilers, by the way. Katie Holmes as Rachel, Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon, and Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. And a lot of people were very nervous before this movie came out because this was the first live action Batman film we've had since Batman and Robin, which was a huge disaster. But to everyone's surprise, Batman Begins was a really great movie that relaunched the success of the Batman character and led for the future career of Christopher Nolan. And next came The Dark Knight 3 years later in 2008. And a lot of people were actually not looking forward to it again because they had Heath Ledger as the Joker, who was a romantic comedy type actor, and a lot of people were like, I'm not so sure about that. Unfortunately, before the film was released, Heath Ledger sadly passed away of a drug overdose, and that's probably what won him the Oscar for the Joker, because he was the greatest part of The Dark Knight. He and Batman's chemistry did wonderful, as many people said, and they also replaced Rachel with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Bye, Katie Holmes. No one will miss you. And they had Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, also, who, as you know, is Two-Face. Then, 4 years later, after Christopher Nolan made Inception, The Dark Knight returned with its final installment, The Dark Knight Rises. And since Heath Ledger passed away, people thought that maybe the Joker would be replaced since he is in Arkham Asylum. Maybe he'd be able to come out. Nope, replaced by Bane and Catwoman. A lot of people were disappointed that the Joker was gone, but then they suddenly grew attached to the character Bane, played by Tom Hardy. And even though some people didn't like Anne Hathaway before The Dark Knight Rises came out, they might have liked her now because of her performance as Catwoman. The Batman films, although critically acclaimed, have had some issues though with critics, especially with the last one, had huge critical problems with it. But a lot of Batman fans and movie fans thought it was still great. I thought it was awesome. Best one, maybe, next to The Dark Knight. Not sure. And unfortunately, this trilogy doesn't really link up to anything. It's just, it's just kind of there. Yeah. It doesn't link up to the Justice League. So, yeah. And you might be saying, well, Batman's gonna be Batman vs. Superman. Yeah, they're rebooting him already. Yeah, if you thought Spider-Man being rebooted by Sony after 5 years since the last film came out was pathetic, well, this one's only 4 years. From 2012 to 2016. Thanks, DC. Thanks. When I said pick up the pace of Marvel Cinematic Universe History of video, I didn't mean for you to do it like this. Oh well. Keep fighting, Batman, because we still love you in the Dark Knight trilogy.